Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien and I'm so glad you're joining me again on the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel today. I'm not gonna lie, this card was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I think it turned out pretty good in the end. I'm using an image from the Birds of Paradise stamp set today, and I'm stamping that with Ink on 3 no-line coloring ink onto some Fabriano Accademia paper. And this is paper that is great for ink blending, but especially for colored pencils. And I die cut this piece of paper with a die by Pinkfresh Studio. This is from the Essentials Mini Slimline die cut bundle, and it has that beautiful diagonal stitched edge, and I love a stitched edge, so that gives a nice detail to your project. I'm going right in with the coloring because it did take me a while. I spent about 30 minutes coloring in this bird. I wanted to give you that real time because I had to cut some pieces out of this video. I don't like to do this, but with no line coloring, I have the terrible habit of getting really up close with my project so I can see the lines better and get more details in, but that means my head got in the way of the camera a lot. I am trying to get out of that habit, but for now I had to cut some parts out. I hope you will still see what I'm doing most of the time. It's fairly straightforward. Now, as you hopefully saw in the thumbnail and in the photo at the start of the video, I am turning this parrot into a phoenix. And in my head, those phoenixes are made of fire and they are basically light itself. So I'm not adding actual shading to this bird. I'm simply trying to get some fire and flame patterns into the bird. So what I do is I start with the yellow, the lightest yellow in my toolbox. I am using the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils and I'm sharpening them like mad because this is a really fine and detailed image. And then I can blend that out into an orange, a light orange and a darker orange, and then go in with my deepest red. And I try to put the yellow at the edges of the bird, so on the outside, and the reds more towards the middle of the bird. I'm not sure why I did that, but that's what happened. I like the look of it. I don't think I would like it as much if I did it the other way around, because now it really seems like the bird is glowing. I'm so sorry I'm going out of frame here. I am coloring in the face, and that was the hardest part because I had already put in the black because the eyes were hard to see. And yeah, if you put in black and then go in with lighter colors, you might end up blending out the black, which was a little bit hard to do. Now I'm adding in some details and highlights with a white gel pen, and then I can mask off my bird with a post-it note and start my ink blending. And I think the ink blending is actually more important to this card than the no-line coloring. I think it has more of an impact on the overall look of the card than the coloring had. So I masked up the bird with a post-it note and then I blended on some light yellow ink. I will list all the ink colors I used in the description below. These are the Pinkfresh Studio inks and they go on like butter. I start out with a yellow glow, then go in with a really dark and deep blue, but to deepen that up even more and to get some nice color variations, I also add in a purple over top of that. That adds a really nice glow as well. It has a little bit of a pink tint to it, and I really love that in a glowing night sky. Now, to add the black to this paper, to basically turn it all black, I used Pigment ink. This is the Versafine Onyx Black Pigment ink. It's the deepest black ink that I know of. I really love it, and it blends so smoothly. The only thing you have to be careful of is that it dries super slowly, so you will end up smudging it if you're not careful. Now I wanted it to look like this phoenix was rising from the flames or rising from the ashes. I want embers flying everywhere and I want some fiery effects, and I'm using some metallic paints for that. Now my initial plan was to paint on some swirls like I did with the red, but I didn't like the way that looked. So I started dabbing on the paint with a flat brush, a dry flat brush, and that gave me some nice effects. I then later went over it again to add a little bit of those swirls, and they are more noticeable in real life, and they are really fun as well. For the embers, I just added some splatter in the various colors I used, mostly around the bird and around those fire effects that I painted. Then I can peel off the mask, and I am going in with a white gel pen to add more bright embers and more details to that swirly fire. I'm also adding in a couple of highlights around the bird, and again adding some swirls with that white gel pen, which I ended up fixing a little bit more later because it's really hard to work on paint that is only just barely dry but not really. So I let it dry a bit more and I worked on it later. Now, if I were to make this card again, I would have stopped before I got my black pencil out. The reason I added in the black penciled shadow kind of thing, halo around the bird, was because I was afraid that it wouldn't stand out enough on the yellow glow that I did with the ink blending. But I shouldn't have done it. It makes it look a little bit weird and a little bit angry. I tried to fix it with white gel pen, going over it, breaking up that black, but it didn't help too much. I think it still worked out great. I think it looks very dramatic and very cool, but it looks a little bit more angry than I intended it to be. Now to assemble this card, I am gluing a piece of black paper onto a mini Slimline card base, and then I can add 4 layers of thick white cardstock behind my colored panel to prop it up a little bit and give it some dimension. I'm just gluing all of that together with the Barely Art Precision Craft glue, and that pretty much finishes up my card. Just centering that onto the card base, and that will be done. Now for a matching envelope, I'm keeping things simple. I am just folding a mini Slimline envelope out of some black cardstock, and I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers 123 punch board for that. Now with these mini Slimline cards, you always have flaps on the top and the bottom that are too long, so the envelope won't fold shut, and that's why I trim them off with my paper trimmer before I glue them together. Now to bring something of my design into the envelope, I chose to just add the splatter, the flying embers that I imagined on my card. It's a really fun touch. In real life, it just glows on the black. It's gorgeous. I am adding a couple of bigger spots in there as well, just straight with my brush. And that's when it's dry and all pretty and shiny. I really love the dramatic effect on the envelope. And this is the card. I really like it. I'm happy I waited to get a bit more intense look with that white gel pen for the swirls. And I really love the glow around the Phoenix. I hope you like it too. I went a little bit out of my comfort zone today, but I think it turned out pretty well and I learned a lot of things. So I encourage you to try things that you're maybe not so comfortable with, to go out of your comfort zone, learn new things, and have fun while doing it. That's the most important part. I hope you like this bold and dramatic card. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them. You can also subscribe to the Crafty Meraki YouTube channel to see more of the inspiration from the design team. And there's going to be lots of inspiration because there's a new release coming very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.